As an engineer, you might have heard of this thing called parametric design or rules-based design. It's a technique that's becoming increasingly important to modern engineers, but it can be quite a complex area as well, so not everyone has the time to look into the pros and cons of the various software. So I thought I'd put together a quick video going through the most popular programs that are used today, and this is based on experience from recent large projects and the growing trend that clients want modeled information earlier and earlier in the design phase, which is something that these techniques can provide. So the two programs I'm going to be comparing are Grasshopper and Dynamo. Superficially, they look fairly similar. However, they're actually quite different in many ways. So Grasshopper is based on Rhino, whereas Dynamo is based on Revit. So Rhino is a CAD program, very similar to AutoCAD, except that it's very good and very quick at manipulating 3D objects. It basically uses points and lines and 3D elements as its native data. Whereas Revit, most people will be familiar, is increasingly becoming a standard for delivering drawings and models later in the process. It uses objects which have all different properties, so it is a different model to a traditional CAD program. Grasshopper comes built into Rhino for free. The Rhino software itself needs a license, although it's not overly expensive. Dynamo comes built in free with Revit. The Revit license is pretty expensive, but at the same time, almost every engineering office will have a license for Revit these days. Rhino is increasingly being used by architects, especially in the early stages of a project to get ideas because of its nature of being good with 3D shapes. Revit is most often used to the middle or to the late of a project where you need to start sharing models around and tweaking and refining the design, and also to document it, to do produce drawing sheets and all that sort of stuff. Rhino is not really, or you wouldn't use Rhino to produce drawing sheets. So Rhino is better for the concept phase into the middle phase, and Revit is better for the detailed design phase and the production of final drawings. So as far as the parametric tools go, Grasshopper has been around a long time and has a huge amount of community support. So almost any question you have, there's a fair chance you'll find the answer somewhere just by Googling it. Dynamo, it's a newer program. It's still being developed. The programming isn't quite there yet. Grasshopper, currently more user-friendly, and it's easier to use for beginners and to pick up. Dynamo, it's a bit harder to use at the moment. It's a bit more technical to use as well. It goes slightly towards the programming knowledge than Grasshopper does. Grasshopper runs extremely quickly, and you can have thousands of objects in memory, and it almost never slows down. You really have to throw a lot of information at Grasshopper to get it to slow down, so it's very stable and runs very quickly. Dynamo, maybe because it's new, it runs slower. Occasionally it does freeze, or it has some problem with memory, so you have to restart it. I assume that's going to get better at some stage, but that's how it is at the moment. Grasshopper, it has a lot of plugins that have been developed by the community over time. It's got specialist geometry stuff, it's got structural analysis plugins, it's got database tools, and loads of other stuff. Dynamo, on the other hand, it also has a plugin system, but it's not as developed. The ecosystem's not there, the community's not there as much, so it's more difficult to find plugins that you might want and the support that you might want for Dynamo. So which program is better to put the time in to learn? I'd say as an engineer, almost definitely Grasshopper and Rhino are the way to go, because you're in that early stage of the project working with concepts. It's quicker, it has a lot more plugin and support for engineering specific design tools, and it's also more likely that the architect is using Rhino these days. On the other hand, if you're a draftsperson or your normal role is in documenting projects, I would definitely go towards Dynamo, especially if you're using Revit all day or Autodesk products all day, because they will continue to push Dynamo over other solutions. Another recent development that might sway your decision is the development of Rhino.inside. It's a module that can run Rhino inside Revit itself, and with Grasshopper you can query elements from Revit straight off, so you don't actually need to use Dynamo for that purpose. So that's still early stages, it's not a finished product yet, but something to think about as well. So if you don't have much time, you could stick with Grasshopper as an engineer or Dynamo as a draftsperson. Having said that, you can achieve pretty much most things in either program, so there is some overlap there. You could use both in a lot of situations. And there is advantages of using the program which is native to the format that you're using as well. So it's probably an advantage to know a bit of both, but not everyone has the time for that. So, alright, so that was just a very quick summary of the differences between the two programs. Let us know if you have any other queries and I can answer it in the comments. Hopefully you found that useful, and I'll see you in the next one.